Good afternoon. This is Kerry Meldon with Meldon Law and Friends, a service podcast that we have been doing here at Meldon Law since 2020. Jeffrey started it during COVID, and we've carried it on with some incredible guests on our show every week. We try to feature community leaders in North Central Florida. This week it is an exceptional lineup. We're featuring Howard Tuuri and Alicia Quartararo from Ocala, and we're really excited to have them in the studio. Before we have them join us in the studio, I want to go through our general announcements, so bear with me. First of all, at Meldon Law, we help everyone in the North Central Florida community that has been injured as a result of a serious accident. Consultations are always free, and you can come into our office and meet with us in person as well, or Zoom or phone. We are local, and we have offices in Gainesville, Ocala, and Lake City. So please give us a call at 352-373-8000 if you have any questions about your case or if you want a second opinion. So we do have some upcoming announcements and giveaways. The first announcement is Tom Petty Weekend. So Tom Petty Nation, the only official Petty fan club, formally announces the celebration of Tom Petty Weekend for 2023. The kickoff starts Friday, October 20th until October 22nd at the Heartwood Soundstage. There's going to be 3 great nights of live music and storytelling with attendees from around the globe. Last year, the Tom Petty Fan Fest it's Tom Petty Weekend at Heartwood Soundstage was amazing. They had Jake Thistle, some incredible acts. I would highly recommend you checking it out. It's in downtown Gainesville, and it's the only official Tom Petty Nation concert, so it's definitely worth going to. There's also a walk to end Alzheimer's that will be occurring on October 21st, 2023. It's co-chaired by my father, Jeffrey, and his wife, Patricia, and it is going to be held at the Trinity Methodist Church in Gainesville. Registration starts at 9 a.m. and the ceremony will take place at 10 a.m. and the walk itself to immediately follow. This year's Alzheimer Association goal is to raise $140,000, so it's a lot of money. And for more information on this incredible event, please visit act.alz.org and be sure to keep an eye out on our Facebook page, Meldon Law. Just look up Meldon Law on Facebook, as we will be posting regular updates as to the walk to end Alzheimer's. There has been increasing activity in curing Alzheimer's, so especially the University of Florida is on the forefront of this neurological disorder. So we are very proud to be a part of the walk to end Alzheimer's, and we believe that this is one of the illnesses that affects too many people in this country, and anything we can do to help is a great thing. And you as well, come join the walk. We'd love to see you. There's also the Battle at the Beach for Aubrey Hope. Family Traditions Constructions has partnered with Phoenix Fitness and other local businesses to bring this special event in honor of Aubrey Hope. Aubrey is a young child battling a rare, life-threatening cancer for a second time, and we are focused on helping her and her family during this time. Their annual Battle at the Beach weightlifting competition is held at Eaton's Beach in Weirsdale, Florida on October 21st and will benefit Team Aubrey Hope. They invite the public to come cheer the contestants to bid on raffles to win great prizes. We at Meldon Law are donating a nice gift basket to the raffle that contains a 4-pack of the Gators Seminoles game on November 25th. And so head on to Eaton's Beach to win some prizes and support this great cause for Aubrey Hope. And obviously we want her to recover a second time from her battle with cancer. So those are the events that we're going to be working on in the next month. We, once again, go to our Facebook page if you have any further inquiries on how to attend or participate. We're also always giving away tickets to Gator sporting events on our Facebook page. So please make sure you're subscribed to the Meldon Law Facebook if you are not already. So without further ado, we are bringing in our guests, Howard Tuuri and Alicia Quartararo. give us a few minutes, and after the break, we'll be ready to go.
Attention all Gator fans, Meldon Law is giving away a chance to experience the Florida-Georgia game like never before. 2-night stay at the Hilton on the River, dinner at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, 2 premium tickets to the game, and a football signed by Coach Billy Napier, and much more. Go to the Meldon Law Facebook page and look for the VIP experience for 2. Good luck and go Gators!
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
I was going down a one-way street and a girl that was driving her car T-boned me on my scooter. I ended up going for an MRI and discovering that I had 2 herniated discs. Coming to Cary allowed me to not have to worry about what doctor I was going to see or what physical therapist I had to go to. They say, these are the people we trust. You're going to have a great experience there, and I honestly did each time.
Call Meldon Law. Your consultation is absolutely free.
I was driving behind a lady, and very suddenly she moved out of the way. There was a log laying in the road, and when I hit my brakes, I went on top of the log. I had 2 herniated discs. I just haven't been the same since. Jeffrey Meldon fought for me all the way. Him and his team really went there for me. Throughout the whole lawsuit, he made sure that my bills was paid. It was never no whenever I called him and asked him for something.
Call Meldon Law right now.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Meldon, because you're going to need help, and they will help you.
Call Meldon Law right now.
Hey, Sammy, look who's there. Say hi.
Hey!
You again.
Meldon Law, Jeffrey speaking.
Jeffrey!
Somebody else hit us
Yeah.
Here we go again.
We're back here at Meldon Law and Friends. This is attorney Carrie Meldon, a partner and managing attorney of Meldon Law. My father, Jeffrey, founded the firm in 1971. He wanted to be here today. He's recovering a little bit from a sickness, but he's doing great. And he's actually hosting an Alzheimer's fundraiser at his house tonight. So hopefully he'll be in good spirits. I know this time in the fall, there's always stuff going around. And it's important to be careful and make sure that you take care of your health. So he is. I am stepping into bat today, and I'm excited to be here because we got some great guests. This particular episode of Meldon Law and Friends is kind of really different for us because we're featuring 2 Ocala All-Stars here. We've got Howard Tuuri and we have Alicia Quartararo.
Yes.
And they work together in some of the largest stations in North Central Florida. And I can tell you that Ocala as a whole has been growing so quickly, so immensely, that it's becoming a destination in Florida in the past 10 or 15 years for people other than just horse people. And it's really exciting for us because we've had a presence in Ocala since the early 70s. So we're following the trends and we're really involved. We opened an office. We've had an office in Ocala for 40 years, but we bought a brand new office in 2020, right after COVID, right across from the hospital. And we have a great staff and great lawyers down there. And I try to make it down there as much as possible. So without further ado, let's go into a little bit about why we're here. So Howard, I've been reading your bio, and I don't know, I'm going to go through a little bit of it with our audience here, but I'm going to ask you some questions. You have done a little bit of everything. It looks like you've been in the 40 years you've been in broadcast and digital media. You've held both sales and management positions in Denver, Atlanta, Tampa, Ocala, Gainesville, and for 10 years you were the GM VP of 3 radio stations in Tampa, and now you're the president GM of the North Central Florida media, overseeing K Country and Wind FM and 352today.com. Those are really significant credentials there.
It's been a long road.
Yeah, well, let's start with the beginning. How did you get involved in radio?
Well, I went to school to get into broadcasting. In the beginning, I thought I would be on the production side of it, and I somewhere along the way realized that the money wasn't necessarily there, that the money was really in sales.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a couple of jobs to start my career that were not in broadcasting, and one day I just decided, enough of this, I want to get back into doing what I really set out to do in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, and I grew up in Ohio, and I thought, well, if I'm going to get into broadcasting, radio or TV, I thought it would be television.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to move somewhere I've always wanted to live. I was in Colorado one time and then had a fabulous skiing vacation, so I said, I'm going to move to Colorado.
I love it.
Job.
From where in Ohio?
Northeast corner of the state.
Okay.
I grew up about a block off of Lake Erie.
Okay.
Right in the middle of what they call the Snow Belt. A little town called Madison, Ohio. I was a Cleveland Browns fan growing up.
And my dad was born and raised in Cleveland.
I knew that.
So you guys are brownies.
Yeah, we were brownies.
Yeah.
Hard to admit sometimes. It's been a tough 3 or 4 or 5 decades.
Yes. Yeah. It's been a little bit of a uphill battle. They had some good teams in the 80s.
In the 80s,
Yeah.
and even earlier. I'm of the Jim Brown era, where I was a plain dealer paper boy, and if I got enough new subscriptions, I could go down to training camp and try and get Jim Brown's autograph.
Otto Graham, he was a great quarterback.
A little bit before me. It was Frank Ryan, Gary Collins, Jim Brown, that era.
Wow.
Leroy Kelly.
Well, so you grew up in Northeast Ohio, which is still cold, and you sometimes switch the humidity for the dry climate of Denver. So how old were you when you moved out to Denver?
I think I was about 24 when I moved to Denver. And it's funny, growing up in Northeast Ohio, it is gray and dull looking from September, October till April. And when I got to Denver, I realized there's sunny, no cloud skies 300 days a year, which was amazing to me. And it's that deep azure blue.
Yep.
You'd get a 6-inch or 12-inch snowfall one day, and the next day it was all melted off the roads. It was fabulous. I loved Denver.
And so when you were in Denver, what were you working mostly in radio?
All in radio. I set out to go into television because I thought I wanted to be in TV, and I took a radio job selling, thinking that, well, this is a stepping stone to television, and that was 44 years ago. Never worked in television.
Never to this day.
Never to this day, no.
Well, we'll have to talk about the 352today.com and what that is in a little bit. But so you started off in radio in Denver, and you were doing sales. Did you like it?
Loved it. Loved it. My highlight in that era of my life was working for KOA Radio, which was the voice and the home of the Denver Broncos. I will always be a Denver Broncos fan. I was a bit conflicted in the 80s.
Right.
With the two...
Oh, yeah. They used to have some big matchups.
Yeah.
Ernest Biner and John Welway. And,
The Drive.
And the Drive, yes.
But my time in Denver was wonderful. I was a young guy in a sports environment, flying on the team plane, taking clients to Soldier Field and to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium and back to my hometown of Cleveland, where the Broncos beat up on the Browns.
You haven't told me those stories yet.
Yeah, those are fun times. Those were fun times. special. It was just really special.
And so from Denver, you went to Atlanta?
Atlanta.
And what was the impetus behind that move?
You know, things were changing where I was. I ended up having a boss I didn't care for, and that's being mild. And one of my former co-workers, a very good friend, and my former general manager, who had relocated, one to Atlanta and one to Miami, both said, you need to get out of there. If you're that unhappy working there, you need to leave. And so I was connected with WSB, another fabulous radio station in America, and went to work there. I had met a woman who we later became married.
Okay.
And later got married. So we moved to Atlanta together and started a whole new chapter of my life. It was very different from Denver, but again, a really, really special time in my life.
Still in sales at that point?
Still in sales, yep.
And then at some point you navigated down south to Tampa.
Well, and before that I moved into management. I had a chance to become a sales manager while I was in Atlanta. Worked there as sales manager for 3 years for an oldies station. The owners of that radio station group were Roy and Patty Disney.
Oh, wow.
And it was not the Disney Corporation, but
Right.
it was the two of them and their portfolio of investments. And it was another amazing experience because we learned, and they advocated, wear the white hat, do the right thing. You know, this is altruistic, you know, and they really set the tone that way, and that was great.
Yeah, I mean, Roy Disney's really the founder of Walt Disney World from what
This was Roy's son.
Okay.
Roy and Walt founded Walt Disney Company, and this was Roy Jr.
Okay.
And his wife Patty.
Because Walt gets all of the credit, but Roy was really important.
Roy was the business mind.
He was the business mind,
Yeah,
correct?
Walt was the visionary.
Yeah.
Roy was the business mind.
And
Very grounded, centered. You wouldn't know they were billionaires.
so the acorn didn't fall that far from the tree.
No, not at all.
Very good. And so then you start working in management. Was that an easy transition for you?
No, it wasn't. I honestly only had a couple of good manager role models. And the boss that I got in Denver was probably my greatest influence because I swore when I got into management I would do everything opposite of that guy. And so management was not an easy transition. It's such a different thing.
Yes.
It's less control, more accountability. It's almost the definition of stress. And
Never heard that, but that makes sense.
And you have to work with others. And when I interviewed for this job, you know, I told them, you know, if you're looking for a flashy, hard-charging, yell and scream, fire and brimstone, that isn't me. You know, that's you know, you got the wrong guy if you're looking at me for that. And fortunately, it was a good cultural fit.
Wonderful. And obviously it became a passion for you because you're still, you know, general manager, president today. Let's, you know, for the listeners out there that may not know, K Country and Wind FM are increasing. They're huge, and they're increasing their presence, you know, year after year. Tell me a little bit about how you got involved with the Ocala market.
I was semi-retired. I had left my previous company after 20 years and decided to become a consultant, sales consultant. My whole background came up through sales. And I did that for about 7 years and started to run into clients that no longer had the budget for a consultant, and also a couple of clients, one client that still owes me money. Maybe I'll talk
I have about 100 of those. Yeah. We I don't want to tell you our secret on camera, but we try to not chase down our clients for money if we don't have to.
Yeah.
Because we want to keep good relationships with them. But
hopefully
not too many clients that owe me money are listening to this.
I was going to say, the last person you want to owe money is an attorney.
Right. Well, some attorneys will go after their clients, and I know quite a few that do.
Yeah.
And we try to look at the pros and cons. If it's a lot of money, there may be a conversation. But what we try to do is have them do small payment plans. So you may want to tell them, pay me $10 a month until, and see how long that lasts for.
Yeah, I've given up on that. I've mentally written it off.
But you moved down there, and at that point you said you were just going to be a consultant.
That was after I moved to Atlanta, or to Tampa from Atlanta to be a sales manager, and then became a general manager there. Along the way, vice president of sales. We had a fairly significant cluster of radio stations. At one time, we had 50-some salespeople on the floor.
Wow.
And I stepped away at the end of 2010 after 20 years with the company, and I became a consultant. And wheels sort of came off of that business, and for about a year, I sat on the couch drinking coffee, and my wife would not really appreciate that.
Lee was like, it's time for you to get the heck out of the house.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's the message. And then I get a phone call from one of my former program directors who told me about this opportunity in Gainesville locality. He said, Saga is a really good company. You ought to talk to him. So anyway, long story short, I sent my little cover letter and resume, and got a phone call the same day, which never happens. And a week later, I think I was up in Grosse Pointe, Michigan, interviewing, and here I am.
Well, and you've been in. How long have you been in? 2019.
Yep, January 1st of 19, so not quite 5 years.
Okay.
Going on 5.
So you're getting your sea legs in the Ocala market now.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Yeah. The mission of our company is local, local, local.
Okay.
That comes from our former CEO and founder of the company, and he passed a little over a year ago. And it's clearly a mission that is carried on by the people who are running the company now. And, I say to our on-air staff and program directors, we can't be too local. It is impossible to be too local. We are part of the fabric of our community.
Absolutely. And people in Ocala still value local news. I mean, the demographic tends to value, what's going on in their community, and they are part of the community.
That's absolutely true, and I think that's ubiquitous. I think people in every community value the local nature.
I do too. I think the younger generation maybe has gotten a little bit more distended simply because of social media, but I think they're still thirsting for it, because community. We're social creatures. Like, we're meant to be, knowing what's going on with our neighbors.
Yeah.
I mean, now there's a funny joke. I don't know if you've heard about this, where it used to be where you ring the doorbell, you get excited because you think that your neighbors were coming over 20 years ago to say hello. Now you're hiding out, when someone rings your doorbell, or someone's calling your house or your cell phone. You're like, why is someone calling me? It used to be exciting. It used to be a big deal when you got a phone call at night. Who is it going to be? Well, I want to get into a kind of more. We'll get more into the business side in a second, but I think now's a good time to introduce Alicia Quartararo onto the platform here, because we're happy to have you as well.
We're very excited to be here.
Alicia, you've been doing this, it says, for 13 years, and you are currently a senior advertising specialist.
Yes.
And how long have you known Howard for?
5 years now.
5 years?
Yeah. So I am an OG, K Country and a Wind FM OG.
Nice.
And I was blessed when Saga, came in and we became North Central Florida Media and offering just a full service, full array of capabilities. So I've seen both sides of it, and I've, again, been blessed to work under Howard.
I was about to put you on the spot. How is he as a GM? Is he everything he's cracked up to be?
Listen, he said that he came from a bad boss, and I can feel that as well. Before, 13 years ago, before coming to radio, I was coming from a very bad culture, and I got a phone call from the GM of K Country Wind FM at that time saying, hey, I heard you're working in media. I was working in magazine sales, and you want to come have a conversation with us? Because my best friend was working for the radio stations at that time, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes. So to work in a bad culture, I mean, culture is everything.
Culture is king. Yeah.
Even when Howard and when we did become North Central Florida Media, our culture changed so drastically, and so much for the better too, for the radio stations. And
well, we were discussing Dale Carnegie before the session today. We've sent 16 people in our office through Dale Carnegie, and we're sending two. We send about 2 every session, and we have culture committees in our office. And one of the things that we try to do at Meldon Law is we want them to be there as a career, not as a job. Yes. And we want them to love what they do and figure out what they're passionate about and get them on a career path that will support that passion. Because if you're passionate about what you do, it will extend to the client and make the client experience that much better. And what you guys do is kind of what we do. We try to provide happiness to people, right? Mm-hmm. And radio to us is a huge way to connect with the community, and that platform is more valuable than ever, especially with all the other options. Radio is, if you go on most people's cars, it's still the radio that's on the dial.
For sure.
And that's a great thing, everyone said XM radio or Sirius was going to, destroy local radio, and it hasn't.
No.
I don't know if you guys remember that when it first started.
Everything's been, supposed to destroy radio, and
Walkmen were supposed to destroy
the internet.
Radio. The internet was going to destroy. Television was going to destroy radio.
Yeah.
Well, and that's so it's great that we can continue to have these outlets that do connect local people, because radio is the essence of local, because the signal only goes so far, at least on a vehicle, right? So that you're hearing what's going on. So Angel, our business development specialist, told me that you're a master connector as well. What does she mean by that?
Well, I met Angel through connecting and relationship building, and I'm part of the Business Networking International.
Wonderful.
That's how I met Angel. Angel, in a previous life, a previous business, we did business together. She came into BNI and we connected, and we've just been connecting ever since. And like you were saying earlier, when you're passionate about what you do, and when you have that connecting personality, you never have to sell a day in your life. I don't sell. I connect with people. I learn their struggles, their needs, their goals, and I express, what I can do, and one day we'll work together, and I'm always confident of that.
That's wonderful. I believe in my heart connection is a very difficult thing to do. We can use the word and it sounds like it's easy, but a true connection, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a business relationship, a personal relationship, is something that is not, it has to be genuine, authentic.
You can feel it,
and you can feel it. And, it's one of those things that I really admire people who have those, that are master connectors, as Angel would say, because it's something that, like you said, you're not selling anything, you're being who you are.
Yeah.
And you're naturally creating these relationships.
And it brings you joy.
And
I get just as much joy connecting a stranger to something as I get connecting my best friend to something. I am all of these social media groups, on Facebook, Ocala Word of Mouth, Gainesville Word of Mouth, and I'm on there looking for opportunities to connect my partners, but I get just as much joy, talking to strangers and helping them. And, they're so thankful, even though they don't know me.
Yeah, well, it's the power of agency. You're taking control of yourself, and you're not afraid to give advice. And there's always people that are going to give you a hard time, and I know I get it all the time. If I comment on social media or this, that, and the other, use this person, and they say, no, use this person. But the fact is that, as long as you're trying to add value to someone's life, I think that is the first part of it.
That's got to be your reward. You're using the word joy, which I think is a perfect word for that, but it's your reward.
Yes, I have the personality that I feed off of, the reward. And the reward for me is seeing someone, you know, benefit from something that I have recommended to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this is a great conversation because it extends to any type of
For sure.
successful business. And culture is something that is, I applaud you for building a good culture because it's not easy to do. It seems like it's easy, but you know, when the days are hard, it's when it really put it to a test, right? It's when you have an opportunity to show patience, and that's something that we all deal with. Yeah.
And easier said than done.
Easier said than done. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the cool stuff that you guys are working on. I think the first talking point that I was told that we want to address is 352today.com.
Yes.
So what is 352today.com?
It is a local online news site. As we looked around in Gainesville and Ocala, we see an opportunity for a free local news site. There are other online news sites that have a paywall or a subscription base. And it's really frustrating sometimes when you get drawn in by the caption, you know, locally or nationally. Wall Street Journal does this. You know,
Oh yeah.
you get drawn into, okay,
Click.
You get
that's
the first paragraph, and then you get please subscribe, only $1 per day for the rest of your life.
for the rest of your life. Well, that's exactly what's going on in the local online news sites as well. So we see an opportunity to offer free local news. We also see a dearth of local, with the word being local.
Correct.
The most important.
Most of the traditional news outlets are owned by big conglomerates, and they're feeding AP wires instead of really doing the digging
Exactly.
locally. Yeah.
And they're, in many cases, great national stories, even statewide stories, but they're being fed by a network or the AP or the parent company's own, offices from around the country, bureaus. But when it comes to what's going on right here in River City, so to speak, there's not much. 2 or 3
There really
articles a day, maybe.
Right.
And so our goal when we launched 352today.com was to be double, triple, maybe quadruple the number of local stories that we're publishing, and we're meeting that goal.
Wow. Every day?
Every day.
Wow. That takes a lot of effort.
It does.
Yeah, how do you find the stories?
We have an amazing editor who came from a television news background. She was a news editor or a news director, as well as a general manager of several TV stations in her career. So 30 years in television news media. And as I was interviewing around, talking to some former newspaper editors and reporters, I quickly realized that there's a big difference. And the word that leaped off the table for me was the word energy. And it isn't an age thing, it was a passion thing. And when I interviewed Denise, and then subsequently to that, a young lady named Ryan, again, their energy and passion for being a journalist and an editor and a reporter is just heads and tails above everyone else I talk to. And it's that energy that drives them. I was just telling Alicia that at 11 o'clock last night, I got an email from Denise, our editor, about something that we were working on. We had a story posted from an event that took place at the Riley Arts Center last night in Ocala. For Marion.
Give for Marion.
Give for Marion. But we didn't finish that event until 7:30, 7:45, and by 11 o'clock at night, we had a story being published for us.
And it's great because in this day and age with we've politicized such news all over the country that we're selling, basically the news is just selling ads to their their fan base, whether it's the
Right.
Democrats or the Republicans.
Right.
That's what the big news outlets are doing. So this seems like it's not politicized at all. It's more just, giving
That's
great
our-
information.
That's
Neutral,
our-
neutral, neutral.
Neutral. That is our third anchor. Free being the first, more local being the second, and unbiased being the third.
And really unbiased, because you don't have, being small, you don't have to,
Yeah, we're not answering to
you don't have to
anyone.
answer
Yeah.
to a certain segment of the population.
That's
And
right.
so that's a beautiful thing, because, I don't want to age myself too much, but I was born in the 70s, all right? And I remember the news was looked at a lot differently until probably
yeah.
15, 20 years ago, in terms of the trustworthiness of what you were reading. And it's too bad, because I think people really want to know more information.
Yeah.
Not just what they want to hear, but what really is happening.
For sure.
So, and this sounds like this is the perfect outlet for people in Ocala community that want to know what's actually happening.
It's been so well received, being on the front line of talking to the businesses and Howard hears it from, listeners and fans. They are just over the moon about it.
That's wonderful. 352today.com. It's the actual numbers, not spelled out. So,
Yeah.
so numerically 352today.com. And I'm going to be checking it out every day.
Please follow
So
us.
I'm learning. You got a new subscriber here.
Thank you.
And what's the cost to subscribe for a year?
0.
Can't beat that, can you?
Say it again for the ones in the back.
Free, 0. Okay, so
But
that's
wait, there's more. It's 0.
that's. And is it just print, or is it also video? Or
Well, it's not print; it's online, but we will have
when
video.
I say print, I guess is it video or written?
It's written.
Okay.
We
Some
have
videos.
some videos. We will probably get into podcasts at some point. And it's interesting. You're heavily involved in podcasts, but a couple of years ago, there was some research done that more than half of the population 12 years old and over are listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's
podcasts are. We've had some
But it's
amazing.
not hurting radio.
It's not
No,
radio.
we've had some amazing guests, and what I believe podcasts to be is it's kind of like a way of writing your biography and memorializing your life, because it never goes away.
Yeah.
And so for my father, it's been a passion project, because he gets to bring all of his friends, and we've had you guys. I mean, if you look at some of our guests, they are the leaders of North Central Florida, and this is a platform for you guys to talk about really cool stuff that people don't know about, because we don't have local news
Yes.
anymore.
Right.
And so if you don't know, you don't know, obviously. And so 352today.com, we'll talk a little bit more. I want to get into the changing consumer behavior and how businesses can adjust to reach their consumers, because I feel like the radio industry really is focused on that.
It is. Well, it isn't just radio. It's anybody in the media world realizes that the consumer behavior has changed fundamentally through technology. And you think about our own habits as consumers. Consumers are more educated and well-researched today than ever before. You don't go out and buy a car by just driving around
Absolutely.
Car lots
Yeah.
and kicking tires and talking to salespeople.
Used car salesmen have had their legs cut out from under
They
them.
have, and they're faced with dealing with a consumer that may know just as much about that vehicle as they do, and where else they can get that exact same vehicle, and for what price. But it isn't just cars. I mean, it's everything. We are all consumers, and one of the things that is increasingly common is buying from your mobile phone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We were talking a little while ago about 5-10 years. Pick the number. How many people purchase items through a place like Amazon or Walmart online? Well, now lots of people are doing that. They are. There's this term called showrooming, where you can go to a store, a I won't even name names, but you can see the item that you're looking to buy. So you go to the showroom, you look at it, you examine it, you do your research in person. Then you go back home and get on your computer or go out to the parking lot and get on your phone and you research that exact same product and you see different ways you can buy it.
Correct.
I laughed today
Yeah.
because on my Facebook memories, it was a memory from 2010, and I wrote that I was making a recipe out of my Paula Deen cookbook. And I would laugh because I was on Facebook, but today I would not open up a book to read a recipe. I pull all my recipes off Pinterest, to be exact. So it's just, consumer behavior. That's a perfect
Do you print them out or do you read them off your phone?
Nope, I read them right off my phone.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so, that you bring up a really interesting point in terms of consumerism. I believe that there is still local, there's still some advantages to purchasing local.
For sure.
In a lot of ways, but there's also advantages to purchasing, via online. If you get it shipped to your door, it's pretty hard to beat in terms of the convenience of it.
Service industries.
Yeah.
How many people are using map search?
You're right.
Find a fill in the blank near me.
Yeah. It's great. It's great for business, for restaurants that may...
For restaurants, for retail.
I remember the days of printing out a MapQuest sheet of paper and following that to your destination. And
I remember having the actual maps and having to do it before MapQuest.
I was riding with a friend and I was like, remember when we had MapQuest? And she said, remember when you had AAA? You would go to AAA and tell them where you were going and they would print you out a little...
triptych.
Yes.
Yep.
I didn't know about that.
Well, we're running towards the end of our show. It's been fabulous. It goes by so quickly. It really just is always a great time. Is there anything you guys want to mention before we can go overboard a minute or two and make sure we fit it in?
I mean, again, just thank you so much for allowing us to be here. We have the audience. That's what we want everyone to know. Through all of our platforms, we deliver an audience, and I help connect my businesses to that audience, and he's a wonderful leader for us, and we're just so thankful to be here.
And all I would say is that our launching of 352today.com puts an exclamation point behind our name of our company, North Central Florida Media.
I love it. Because this is North Central Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a great show today. We really appreciate you guys listening in. We're going to have you guys back on with Jeffrey when he gets better, because he actually is an incredible interviewer, and
you're pretty good too.
Yeah.
Well, I've learned a lot from the master. Yeah, but we always bring back certain guests that are incredible, and
he's a lot of fun. He was at our open house.
Yeah,
we got to hang out with him at our open house.
He is so much fun, and I think usefulness can extend forever.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've been very appreciative of, is having him. Next to my office is near his office, and he does the marketing and I do the operations, and together we get to conquer the world. So
that word we used a little bit ago, energy. Your father
he does
has energy off the chart.
He stays out later than I do. I got my mom's energy. My sister got his energy. But that being said, it's something that I think you're blessed with, and the lust for life, Yeah. So, we're going to conclude this version of Meldon Law and Friends. Please stay tuned for next week's version, and we appreciate you once again tuning in. And remember, 352today.com.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.